Today I want to talk to you about learning your craft. And specifically, I want to get there by telling you a story about young James Scott Bell, back when he was 12 years old and known only as Jimmy Bell. And he had fallen in love with basketball. That was his sport. I loved basketball. And one day, I was walking through Farmer's Market in Hollywood with my grandmother. And I saw on a spinning rack a book. And it caught my attention because there was a basketball player on the front. I didn't know who the basketball player was, but I asked my grandmother if she would buy me the book. And this is the actual book that she got me that day. A Sense of Where You Are. A profile of Bill Bradley, Basketball Hall of Famer, New York Knicks. And this was a profile of Bradley when he was playing for Princeton and was the best basketball player in the country. So I devoured that book. And what impressed me was Bradley's work ethic, his systematic work ethic, how he would choose a particular part of his game and work on that for hours and hours. And so I had my dad put up a hoop on our garage. We had a nice big driveway, so I had lots of room. And I practiced. I practiced a lot. Sometimes even in the rain, my dad would say, we get out of the rain, you're nuts. Well, maybe I was a little bit for basketball, but let me tell you this. I became the greatest shooter in the history of Parkman Junior High School. You can go back and find people who knew me then, and they'll tell you that. And then I went on to high school. I was all league in high school. And then I played a year of college ball at the University of California, Santa Barbara. Now, I knew then that in order to make the NBA, I needed about 5 more inches of height and about 5 more seconds of speed. Basically, I needed to be Larry Bird. If I'd had those attributes, I'd be in the Hall of Fame today. Yes, I would, but I digress. That's not really the point. The point I want to talk to you about is the learning of the craft by being systematic and disciplined. Now, a few years ago, I went to a local park just to shoot around. Took my basketball and was just, messing around and trying to keep in shape. And then it occurred to me to try something. Bill Bradley mastered a shot called the hook shot, which is not much used by players today. I thought, okay, I used to do that, so I started doing hook shots and, had marginal success with it. And then I thought to myself, what if I made a modification in the mechanics? And I thought back to how Bradley had described his hook shot. So I tried that technique and I practiced it a couple of times, and all of a sudden I got it. I got this great hook shot all of a sudden. And I know that if I would just keep practicing it, it would get better and better. Now, the reason I bring that up is that that's how I feel about writing. That's how I feel about writing technique. I continue to read books on writing, blogs, Writer's Digest magazine. I read lots and lots of novels and notice what authors are doing. And if I see something, if I get a new spin on a technique, I try it myself. My philosophy is if I learn just one thing or just a nuance of how to do something else that I know, then it's worth it to me to grow as a writer. So my message to you is don't ever think you have arrived as a writer, even if you're multi-published and hugely successful. Keep growing in your craft. There have been very successful writers who've just started mailing it in because they know they can. Don't be that kind of a writer. Be the kind that cares about the craft. In the book, A Sense of Where You Are, the author, John McPhee, describes Bradley with his back to the basket, throwing the ball up without looking and having the ball go in time after time. And McPhee asked him, how do you do that? And Bradley said, you develop a sense of where you are. And then you know what to do with it. So here's what I'd like you to think about. There are 7 critical success factors of fiction. Only 7. Everything about fiction can fit under one of these 7 categories. They are plot, structure, characters, scenes, dialogue, voice, and meaning or theme. What you should do is be honest and rate yourself on every one of those categories. Then pick the one that's your weakest and make it your goal to improve just by 10%, just to kind of give you a feel. 10% in that area within the next 2 to 4 months. Now, if you were to do that with all 7 areas, just trying to increase your skill level by 10%, your overall writing will grow exponentially. So I encourage you to do that. The Bill Bradley method. Distinct areas, study, practice. To help you out, if you go to my website, jamesscottbell.com, you can click on a link for my writing books. I've got a series of them, each one distinctly focused on an area of the craft. And I would love to be able to help you out on your writing journey. So until next time, remember, carpe typum, seize the keyboard.